and click to verify the button to complete the sign-up process to get started on NaviHealth. Once the sign-up process is complete, search for a healthcare service close to your location, and once the result pops up, you can search for a facility close to your location. Once you search for a facility, you can click to leave a review on that facility. Make sure your reviews are 100% authentic and original. Input a display name which is not your profile, and thank you for using NaviHealth.
Thank you so much for that real quick video. We're about to kick off today's session. Keep your introductions coming. We want to know where you're joining from. Turn on your cameras. We want the session to be as interactive as possible. It's a really exciting session, and it's actually a good way to wrap up the year. Burning bright, not out. Thriving under pressure for healthcare workers. Healthcare workers are constantly supporting patients, helping them, live healthier, happier lives, but not even considering themselves. This session would help us understand how to thrive and how to survive under pressure, how to be the best version of ourselves, so that we could provide that, care to our patients. Next slide, please. This session is brought to you by Digital Moms Project, digitally enabled and empowered moms, a scalable whole quality system model to improve maternal mortality. This project is funded by MSD for Mothers and is implemented in 2 states, Lagos and Ekiti. Next slide, please. I cannot appreciate our subject matter experts enough. Thank you so much for supporting us all through the years in ensuring that we deliver very, very successful sessions. We see you, we appreciate you, and we thank you. Dr. Timothy, he's our facilitator for today, and he's been a big supporter of MDoc and our teleeducation series. So we appreciate you and appreciate everyone highlighted on this slide. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Please take note that this session is leveraging the tele-echo model. So it means that we're collecting registration, participants registration, questions and answers, chat comments, and poll responses. But all data will be kept confidential and handled by only authorized personnel, right? The data may be used for reports, surveys, quality assurance, and research, but just take note that all your data will be kept confidential. Next slide, please. It's also important to note that this session will be recorded, and you can always go back to our YouTube page and access the already recorded sessions. And of course, the slides will be sent after the session. Next slide, please. Some important participation tips. Like I said, we want your cameras on. We want this session to be as interactive as possible. We want to see the beautiful faces of everyone joining this session. Please also, make use of the raise hand feature on the Zoom dashboard, and the facilitator would unmute you and have you speak. Kindly use the chat functions for your questions if you have any. If you have any technical need, please post that in the chat. Our tech support phone numbers will be posted in the chat as well. Please reach out to any of the contacts posted, and they would provide the support that you need. Next slide, please. Quick overview of what we're going to be doing today. We started off with welcome and introductions and the guidelines for the sessions. Then we'll go right into the pre-quiz, and then the didactic session, of which we'll have a case presentation, just so that we see what typically a burnout case in a healthcare facility is, and we have a great conversation around that. We'll get expert insights on the case presentation, then dive into the Q&A and discussion part of this session. Then we have the post-quiz. We'll respond to the quiz questions and then get your reactions, announcements, and wrap the session up. Next slide, please. Before we go right into what we've planned for today, I'll give you a quick overview of who we are at MDoc and what we do. MDoc is a digital health and social enterprise that provides self-care support for people living with or at risk of chronic health needs. We do not replace facility-based care. We only complement the support that our patients receive. So the 99.9% of the time, patients are outside the facility, MDoc is here to support them, helping them to live healthier, happier, and more productive lives. We do this through a high-tech, high-touch approach using our products. One, which is Complete Health. So Complete Health is an AI-enabled, coach-led platform that provides digital nudges, health metrics tracking, and of course, personalized self-care support for our members. Feel free to, use the link in the chat to join Complete Health platform. And then we also have Navi Health. Navi Health is our dual-coded digital health directory for both providers and facilities. So this improves access to care. If you were in Ikeja, for instance, and you are looking to get ANC care, you can go on Navi Health and search for all the facilities in Ikeja that provide ANC services, and Navi Health will direct you to the right facility. And of course, providing an opportunity for you to look at reviews that patients have left about quality of care that they have received from the facilities. We also have the MDoc Quality Network. That is the platform we use to provide capacity building for healthcare workers as well as our members, right, through our different teleeducation session series. And then finally, we have our Nudge Hubs. So these Nudge Hubs are our in-person community-based kiosks that our members can walk into in person and meet with the health coach, get their health literacy, digital literacy built, and of course, get walked through how to utilize our products. Next slide, please. Complete Health link will be in the chat. Feel free to sign up using the link provided. Next slide, please. This slide just is a 1-minute video of Complete Health and how to sign up on Complete Health, just in case you're having any difficulties.
Video is a brief walkthrough through our Complete Health mobile application. When you download the app, it takes you to this page, and then you can choose to either sign up or log in. To sign up, please include your first name, your last name, your email address, your phone number, and a unique password. Please ensure that the password is strong, it is unique, and it is imputed twice. After that, you can now create an account. When you click on create an account, a verification code is sent to your phone. Kindly input the verification code and your account will be active. Now you can proceed to fill in your profile. In your profile, you need to fill in your gender, your date of birth, your height, and your weight. Your height and your weight are necessary because this is required to calculate your BMI, which is your body mass index. And after that, you fill in your level of education and your income level. So after signing up, the next thing to do is to subscribe for a program. To do this, please go to the home page and click on your name. After that, click on profile information and then click on subscriptions to the right. This will take you through a list of the available programs at MDoc. So for the purpose of this video, let's select Propel and we'll select free version and click on checkout. Checkout confirms payment and immediately takes you to fill out a BLA, which is your baseline assessment. After filling the BLA, you'll be automatically assigned to a health coach. Now, to confirm your subscriptions, please go to your homepage and click on My Subscriptions. This will show you the list of all the programs you subscribe to, highlighted in green. You can click on the programs to find out your assigned coach and also retake your BLA if you fail to do so initially. Thank you for watching this video.
Thank you so much. So there's a we already talked about Navi Health. Please post Navi Health link in the chat. Before we get right into what we have planned for today, there's a survey that's going to go into the chat. It's a digital literacy survey. This is just to help us fine-tune and tailor the support that we provide to you. So feel free to fill out that survey, share with your network to fill out the survey. It will only help us get better. It would help us personalize our teleeducation sessions, our capacity building sessions, and tailor it exactly to the needs of the members and participants that we serve. We've also, like I said earlier, we have a pre-quiz. This pre-quiz is just to help us gauge knowledge gained from the session. It is not going to be assessed individually. It's going to be assessed as a group, and it will only help us gauge knowledge gained from the session. So feel free to please respond to it. It's going to be launched now on your screens. And if you don't see it on your screens, put that in the chat and our team members would provide support for you. Like I said, we're not going to assess it individually. It's a group assessment to help us gauge knowledge gained from the session. If you're having any difficulties, please put it in the chat. Can everyone see the pre-quiz questions? It's only 7 questions. Would appreciate everyone to take the pre-quiz question and also wait behind, wrap up the session and do the post-quiz session. If you're having any difficulties, please put that in the chat and a team member will provide support. We're 1 minute plus into this pre-quiz session. Please do good to participate in the quiz session. It's only 7 questions. It would not be assessed individually. It would just help us understand the knowledge gained from this session. If you're joining from YouTube, there's a link that's been posted in the chat, a survey link. It's the same thing. Just respond to the 7 pre-quiz questions. I see some questions coming in. Keep it coming, keep it coming. Thank you to everyone that has responded to the pre-quiz questions. Thank you, we appreciate. If you're just joining the session, please, it's only 7 questions. It will only help us assess knowledge gained from the session. Please do good to participate in the pre-quiz session. We're 2 minutes plus in. Keep it coming. Thank you so much to all that have responded to the questions so far. Thank you, thank you. Let's keep it coming. Let us keep it coming. Three minutes plus in. If you're just joining the session, please respond to the pre-quiz survey that's been launched on your screens. If you have any technical issues, if you can't see it on your screen, please type that in the chat and a team member would provide technical support. So like I said, you will not be individually assessed. Your responses to the pre-quiz will not be individually assessed. It will be assessed as a group for us to gauge knowledge gained from this session, right? So it is not, the responses will not be individualized. It will just help us understand and gauge knowledge gained from this session. Keep the responses coming. Thank you for all that have responded. It's only 7 questions, easy peasy. Let's keep the responses coming. Thank you for all those who have responded to the pre-quiz questions. It's only 7 questions. Let's keep it coming. I would give 1 more minute for the pre-quiz responses to come in. 1 more minute. Let us keep it coming. Thank you so much to all who have responded. If you're joining from YouTube, the link to the quiz questions have been put in the chat. Please click on the link and respond to the questions. It's only 7 questions. Thank you. Thank you. 1 more minute for this. Thank you so much for all those who have responded. But almost there. Keep it coming. Thank you. Like I said, it will not be individually assessed, right? We just use this data to gauge and understand knowledge gained from this session, right? So let us keep the responses coming. It's only 7 questions. Thank you to everyone that has responded so far. We're wrapping up in the next 20 seconds. If you're joining from YouTube, the link to these quiz questions have been posted in the chat. Please click on it and respond to the questions. Let's keep the responses coming in. Thank you. If you're just joining, there's a pre-quiz question that's launched on your screen. Please take 30 seconds, 20 seconds out to respond to the questions. Thank you, everyone, for your responses so far. Thank you, thank you. We can wrap this up now. Thank you. Thanks to everyone that responded to the pre-quiz questions. Please wait behind after the session to respond to the post-quiz questions as well. Thank you so much. Next slide, please. So moving on to the didactic session, we're going to welcome our speaker, Dr. Timothy Olaolu Adebowale, MBBS, D-Psych. We are so happy to have Dr. Timothy on the call. He is a highly regarded mental health clinician and healthcare manager with a distinguished career marked by academic and professional excellence. He is a fellow of the West African College of Physicians and holds a certificate of completion of specialist training in general adult psychiatry from the Specialist Training Authority of Medical Rural College in the UK. He was the founding project coordinator of the ARO Primary Care Mental Health Program in Ogun State, and previously served as the provost and medical director of the Neuropsychiatric Hospital, ARO, Abeokuta. His extensive experience spans innovative mental health service planning, implementation, evaluation, and research. Dr. Timothy's area of special interest includes stress management, community care, social and rehabilitation psychiatry. In addition to his medical achievements, Dr. Timothy is a passionate preacher of the gospel and the founder and CEO of Hope Restoration and Health Initiative, a nonprofit organization committed to supporting recovery, preventing homelessness, and restoring hope for individuals with mental health challenges. Currently, he serves as the project director for Hope Resource Abeokuta, a purpose-built nonprofit facility providing residential support, livelihood empowerment, and community integration for individuals recovering from severe mental disorder. Let us give it up for Dr. Timothy. It is worthy of note that this is not the first time he's taken this session. He has conducted numerous sessions for our TED Education series, and we appreciate him. there's something that he did that is not even noted in this bio. He has an incredible sense of humor, an amazing personality, and a great facilitator. So let us give it up. I want to see, drum rolls. I want to see the claps in the chat as we welcome Dr. Timothy to take this didactic session. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Marvelous, for the intro. Thank you.
Thank you,
yes,
Dr. Timothy.
Good afternoon, everyone. Am I clear?
Yes, sir, you're clear. Yes, sir, you're clear.
Okay, thank you very much. I want to welcome everyone. I think in the house we have about 50 participants. Wow, that's great. This afternoon we'll be talking on the topic, burning bright, not out, and thriving under pressure as a healthcare worker. What does this mean? We are familiar with burnout. So the good news we want to share this afternoon is we don't have to burn out. And then we can actually burn bright as we thrive under the pressure. Yes, the pressure is always there as healthcare provider, healthcare worker, but we don't have to burn out. And so that's the good news I'm bringing our way this afternoon. So welcome to this. Let's look at the next slide. So that's the topic, burning bright and thriving under pressure. So why are we talking about burnout, burning bright, stress? We do know that the healthcare space is a very challenging space, and that we also know the importance of healthcare workers' well-being. The thing is, the more the healthcare provider well-being is taken care of, the better the quality of service that it renders. So as the adage goes, sound mind is sound body and sound business. So let's move on. Next slide, please. Next slide. Yes. So the good news I want to first share this afternoon, as I said, is the fact that the story we've always had is, stress, and then we feel we are going to be overweight by stress, we are going to be burdened. I mean, the good news I want to tell us this afternoon is that stress is actually a tonic. Stress enhances performance. According to two workers early in the 20th century, that was 1908. One is Robert Yax, and the other is Dodson, I think George Dodson. They carried out an experiment with mice, and they found out they were motivating them with electric shock to perform some actions, either to go into a white box or a black box. When there was no shock at all, they wouldn't enter anyone. They just enter anyone directly. And they try to specifically see, if they enter the black box, they're given the electric shock. If they enter the white box, no electric shock. And then the animals started learning gradually, wow, it's better to enter the white box. And they gradually started to increase the intensity of the shock. Without any shock, there was no motivation to do anything. With shocks, they started, choosing going into the boxes. And then when they enter the black box, they receive shock. When they enter the white box, they don't receive any shock. And then as they increase the intensity of the shocks, the level of performance of the right action increases. But it got to a point that the greater the shock, the worse the performance. They were entering, it's as if they became confused. They were just entering the boxes randomly, just running about. So that's really what brought this graph you are looking at. It's called the stress to performance efficiency graph. No stress, no performance. As the stress level increases up to a point which we call the optimum stress, that gives the maximum efficiency of performance. And after that, performance starts falling, and it gets to a point of disorganization that the individual is not even able to perform at all. So what we are saying is that Without stress at all, there will be no performance. Stress is actually the arousal, that thing that moves us on to perform action. If you don't have any motivation to go to work, if it is, whether you go to work, you don't go to work, they pay your salary, nobody talks, nobody will go to work. But because, if you don't go to work, there's going to be some consequences for the action, then we do. So that's really what it's all about. It's about arousing, arousal. So stress actually is good. It acts as tonic, a stimulant, to stimulate us into action. It drives us, it motivates us, energizes us, and then it enhances performance. And as I put in the caption there, stress makes the champion. The person who is not stressed at all will not do anything. So that's really about that. Then the question is, what do we do? Excess of anything is bad. So the question is, how do we manage stress? It's not about how do we eradicate stress. You don't try to eradicate stress. You manage it so that it can give you the optimum performance. You can draw that middle line to the right so that even the higher the stress, the more you are striving. That is really the goal of this talk this afternoon. Let's move on to the next slide. Next slide, please. Hello. The next slide, please. Thank you. So what is stress? What really is stress? Yes, the grammar, when we say what is stress and all that, English is just like talking about a strain. It's not really that. It's a technical word. So stress is actually the disturbance of the steady state of an organism, that is including you and I, as a result of perceived imbalance between demands and resources. And that's really the full the definition. Then what does it lead to? It leads to subjective experience of distress with physiological, responses in the body, and then there are associated behavioral manifestations. Not moved. In fact, it's as if to say, okay, let them come the more, because of our time, because this is actually something we should really do as a retreat, really planning, if not, more than one day to really.
Dr. Timothy, are you there? Okay, please let's give him 1 or 2 minutes. He might be struggling with his network. Dr. Timothy, please can you unmute Dr. Timothy?
Okay, sorry, some disruption. So sorry about that. That's part of the stress we need to know how to cope with, and as we expected. So the disturbance, the perceived imbalance, that do I have what it takes for this demand? That's actually what brings stress. Whatever challenge upon us that we think we have the resource to cope with is really not, a problem at all. So that's really the essence of what we are talking about. So we only get stressed when we feel we don't have the resource to cope with the challenge that is facing us. So having said that, the perceived imbalance, which is the trigger for all so-called stress, leads to the so-called fight to flight reaction. And what is that? It's like the body is prepared to confront the obstacle. So whenever there is perceived obstacle, the body is energized, something is activated chemically, physiologically to upstage that imbalance, that obstacle. That is what is called a fight reaction. Some individuals, if we allow the stress to build up and we are not able to control it at the level of the passive imbalance, we can actually go into a freezing mode, and which is the disorganization we saw in that graph. That's the freezing mode of it. So having said that, We then need to talk about the capacity to cope with stress. It's actually one of the yardstick of assessing our mental health. The other components of mental health, as your ability to recognize your own potential. So now we can even see that stress may arise from your poor ability to recognize your own potential. If you don't know what you have, then every challenge will be a stress. Oh, I don't have the resource to cope with it. So every individual, the first level of mental health must know what he is, what he has, and the capacity that he has. That's the first level. You know your potential. You know, yes, I'm good at this. Yes, some people may have to tell you are good at this, you are good at that, but you yourself too must be able to know what you are good at, so that you don't readily fall under every demand. So, and then the other is working, productively, and then talking about contributing to your society. That's really the yardstick of mental health. Let's move on then to the next slide. So that's really what stress is all about. Let's go to so when we talk about work and stress, so we're talking about why does work produce stress? And from the definition we gave, work gives rise to stress when there is perception of incapacity to deliver the demands of the job on us. So, and then this continue, it just goes into the fight mode, and then begin to generate other things, the emotions and the bodily reaction. In fact, the ILO, that's the International Labour Organization, 2004, came to a conclusion that work may actually be deadlier than war. What do they mean by that? They look at all the death resulting from consequences of poor job match. And then they find out that even the wars that were happening, then those were the times of the war, Iraq war, this and that. They found that the number of people that actually died at war front was not up to those who died out of consequences of work, stress and work demand and the resource mismatch. So this is what, and then it was also found, a study long time ago, that's 1969, said job satisfaction was seen as a better predictor of longevity among working individuals. So when somebody say, wow, I love my job, another, it actually predicts how long the person will live, even more than some other things like smoking habits, economic positions, and all that. So take your job satisfaction very seriously. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Thank you. Yes, what is the extent of the problem? It is estimated that at least 30% of the world workforce, this is an old statistic, could be worse now, is believed to be experiencing health-damaging stress at work. And in a personal study done by myself, this published in 2013, among health workers, and another one among executives of industries and all that. We were doing this sort of things, stress management and all that. And we carried this survey. We found, high percentage, even much higher than 30%, really reported, moderate, very, and extremely severe, stress due to work. This is very, it was even worse among the executives, 47% reported moderate, about 34 reported very, stressful, and about 3% reported extremely stressful job, that the job they are doing. And among health workers, that is on the left. So we are saying that this is really, obviously this is more recent than the earlier publication of the 30% of the world workforce. So even among us here, our perception of stress at work will be very high. And if we are tempted to do a survey among us as we are seated, really, we can say, how stressful do you find your job? We may find percentages as close to this. So let's go to the next slide. Next slide, please. Yes, now talking about the types of stress that we do go through. We talk about acute, that means immediate stress, short-lasting, and then chronic stress, ongoing. We could talk about physical stress and psychosocial stress. There is really no distinction. The physical stress are just the bodily manifestations of the psychosocial reactions of stress. the bodily manifestations, are really there. That's when somebody says, I'm tired, I can't even sleep, our body aches and all that. We will see some of this when we look at how to recognize stress, Then we talk about job stress, then executive stress, special stress response among the executive, that is leaders, leaders at work and all that. So leaders too, they go to work, they say uneasy lies the head that wears the crown. And then burnout, of course, which is peculiar to people in human service professions, which we are also going to talk about. When you look at what are the sources of stress, well, generally, there are what we call life developmental tasks, really, that whether somebody works or not, being alive, there are some stresses that are peculiar to your stage of development. Even a child 2 months old has its own challenges. And the challenges are if I want to eat, would they give me food to eat? Something as small as that, So, development, and as you grow up, there are different, developmental tasks, even at adolescence, like identity versus, the person said, who am I? Why am I in this world? What am I going to be? And the young adulthood is talking about intimacy and all that. And even at old age, when we look back at our lives and wonder, have I spent life? There are also stresses associated to that particular time of life. So life developmental tasks. These are various degrees of how the situation one is, the life space one is really cool. Then life events generally, these are life events, occurrences in life, a good or bad, even good events too give rise to stress. We've seen people who became very stressed, could not sleep, developed mental health issue because of promotion at work. And say, oh, what's happening? That is good news. You say, oh, but you don't know anything. It's going to be a serious problem on me for it. In fact, I have to change my wardrobe. He became a bank manager and it was stressful. So the arrival of unexpected, somebody who has been expecting to have a child and the baby comes and then the person went into depression. Then what's happening? You should be happy. Oh, so it's not really about bad life events, even good life events, really. So the home also source of stress, the work as we've been talking about, the leadership, human services. Then sometimes it's not even these events, but the individuals. So some individuals are the one who generate stress for themselves. The personality, the warrior type, people who are, perfectionist type, who as if they are the one generating their stress for themselves. They with, cognitive styles, how do you attribute, explain things? Sometimes we say it's not really the event that happens that causes interpretation of them. That's really what, stress. And then the superego conflict, really, some of us are very sensitive, in terms of our conscience and all that. And if anything does not grip us, our conscience, oh, what you've done is bad, and then we move on from there. So, and then there could be stress spillage. What I call that? The stress could be from work, spill to home, to various things like that. But the one thing about burnout stress is that it does not spill. It only occurs at work, and then when the person is in another sphere at home, it appears, except there are other sources of stress at home. The one related to work is managed. It happens only there. So let's move on to the next slide. We don't have sufficient time to go through this. We might have a weekend retreat to really tackle all this. So how about the burnout, which is one of the issues we're looking at today? Freudenberg in 1974 coined the word burnout syndrome. Yes, people have used the word burnout now, but everybody uses it through it. English, it's not just English. It's a specific syndrome which is associated with stress response among human service professionals. And who are human service professionals? These are people, that whose work relates to dealing with people that need assistance, people that need aids, and support. Yes, teachers are really one of human service professionals, nurses, doctors, yes, pastors, and even the policeman too is also among people, in human service profession. And then as Freudenberg put it in say, someone in a state of fatigue or frustration brought about by devotion to a cause, a way of life, or relationship that failed to produce the expected reward. Mark the word expected. The expectation is very important. So the higher the expectation, the higher the tendency for burnout, really. And especially when the expectation is not in tune, is not in tune with the reality on ground. And the symptoms, or the signs which he highlighted them, which he holds now, are three. It's a triad: emotional exhaustion, depersonalization, and loss of a feeling of personal inefficiency. Does all these three things mean? Emotional exhaustion is like talking about the person gets depleted of emotion. These are like professions, work in which you dispense emotion. When you care for people, you support people, you're actually dispensing emotion, and then it's as if you've over dispensed and then you are exhausted, you are depleted of, emotion, and then the depersonalization comes in, and the first one, the person says, oh, I feel exhausted, it's as if he has over dispensed, all his emotional, reservoir. Then the depersonalization is actually talking about detachment. The individual become detached. Oh, in caring profession, we need to, we are expected to be concerned about the person we are caring for, which is the empathy aspect of it, which are really, not only psychological, they are also brain activities. There are portions of our brain that can connect with people. We talk about mirror neurons. Okay, don't let me go into that really. So when an individual is carrying out that action, it's as if you're the one carrying out the action. I mean, there are monkey experience, a monkey watching the other, even human beings in this age of, brain, surveys and whatever, functional brain surveys. Somebody is carrying an experiment and another person is watching, and you find out the area of the brain that is active in the person carrying out the action is also active in the person that is only watching, not doing it. That's the basis of empathy. So in essence, in depersonalization, what has happened? This person has gotten so exhausted that even the brain has stopped responding to, what is happening, the pain that the other person is having. Yes, it's part of the training in healthcare. I mean, if you get over involved, you won't be able to provide needed care. I mean, we teach, detached concern. I hope you've heard about that before. Detached concern is really, you are concerned, but you get yourself detached. Otherwise, the person at the emergency who they brought somebody whose hand is almost severed, or the leg almost severed, and he has to do the suturing and all those things putting together. If he's over concerned, he will not be able to do it because he will be feeling the pain of the person, but he has to detach himself. So that's detached concern. But in depersonalization, the person has gotten to a point is fully detached. So there is full detachment, and he refers to patients as it, as objects. So it could not relate, at that personal level. Then the last one is the depersonal. Is actually another word I coined for it is disillusionment. Is that what you hope to achieve, what you hope to get, the reward you expected, you feel, oh, wow, there's no point. I give up. It's like giving up. My patients, that sort of feeling. And actually, if you look at when we measure burnout, inventory for the measure of burnout actually captures some of these areas. And anybody could really know whether or not is really burnout. It's not part of this. I was thinking maybe at other times we can actually do a survey, a self-survey, to see whether. Let's go to the next slide. We need to have this background for us to really have the benefit of what we're talking about. What's the magnitude of the problem? Just as I said in the stress, there are many various researches that have been done, including personal one that shows, high level of, stress and burnout among health workers, and then in burnout specifically, it's higher in health workers than non-health care services. We talk about teachers and all that, but even it's higher among health workers than, those other, care, or those other professions, human service professions. And they, in a study in 1992 showed that 1 in 12 health workers actually have suffered burnout. And then another one in 84 shows that 30 to 40% of doctors, these are, and there are various specialties that suffer more burnout. And it's also, I should say, in psychiatry, mental health, because we deal with individuals that have chronic problems, Yes, some of the things we're doing, supporting people with, long-term problems too, will lead to it. The reason is when we say, oh, this man's problem is still there. How long are we going to continue with this? Yes, we need to manage all those emotions so that we don't get burnout. Chronic illnesses. Let's go to the next slide. Next slide, please. Yes. Okay. I think that's broken. And then there is also some gender differences and all that. So let's move on to the next slide. Hello. Yes. In the study we did and published, we found these amongst some of these factors that are associated: shift work, night shift, understaffing, boss colleague support. Yes, people reported support who have a good, support by my boss, or even I have good support from my colleagues. They are good factors that really cut down on the level, significant factors. Then when there's work-life conflict, when your work is conflicting with your life, and maybe home and every other thing, then there's job satisfaction scores also can predict, the level of burnout. And then when somebody is burnout, you see there's high level of job turnover intention. You want to quit the job, you want to move to another one. And when you get to organizations that there's high level of job turnover, we need to look at what's going on and all that. So on the other side, I think the other side is what are findings among executives, female gender, younger age. The younger executive is actually more stressed than the older executives. That's what we found. And then I put it back in one of our sessions with it. And they say, well, you see, some of the old experience, but they know, from experience, they know, well, that heaven will not fall. We still have some reserve somewhere, and they're able to cope. Whereas the young one who is still full of aspiration and expectation is easily frustrated, and then whereas the older one, oh, we've seen it all, and they are able to cope. Single marital status may be related to the younger age and also the absence of support at home. And then posting organization, we found a very high managers are less stressed, but the middle and the low managers are the ones that are highly stressed. And we wonder what's happening. I'm one chief executive from one big company in Lagos. So we say, well, you see, the big manager knows that they still have some reserve somewhere, which is not, the knowledge is not available to the younger managers. And then you say, oh, wow, I hope this company is not going to fold up, but the big manager up there knows that he cannot fold up. We still have some reserve somewhere. So these are issues. And so let's move on. And then we also found that our, stress is related to level of cholesterol. We found that we did some physiological assessment, and we found that those who reported high stress had higher level of cholesterol. How do you recognize you might be under stress? As an individual, you use an acronym there. Stress, if you look at the line down under the individual, stress, acronyms really. The first one is sadness. Whatever makes you feel sad, unhappy, whatever, is just a signal that something somewhere is stressing you, is disturbing your life. So check out. Then the terror there is not used as acronym. It's representing fear, anxiety, and all that. Whatever, when you start beginning to feel fearful, even about your job, about other aspects of life, and you are always anxious more than before, and know that you need to know there's some things you need to attend to. Rage, we are using the word rage, but we're talking about anger, irritability, when you start banging table and then you just wonder you are very irritable. It could spread, it could be from home, it could be at work, irritable towards anyone. I say, bro, what's happening? You used to be more friendly, will leave me alone. So those could be signals that, there could be. Then excitement. Oh, yes, we should be happy, but we shouldn't be overexcited, really. So excitement sometimes is also a reflection of stress, which is unlike us. So it could be a coping mechanism. So the shame and guilt. Whatever makes you to start feeling guilty, feel ashamed. Shame is, in contrast, is with regards to the public, whereas guilt is with regards to self. Shame, you feel, oh, they've discovered me, they've seen what I've done. So it's actually showing something stressful is going on. Then sleeplessness. That's one of the first physiological level that you start seeing. It's not usual. You start sleeping, you get to bed, you can't sleep, fall asleep, and then you wake up early, and it just be a signal. We're talking about stress signals. Then the other signals could include vague bodily complaints that even the doctor, the health worker will not understand this pain that travels from your head to your toe. And then it doesn't make, there is no physiological anatomic explanation for that, but such as the thing, this body ache, you even find difficult to explain them. So these are, some of the signals. In organizations, it could workplace conflicts, job avoidance behaviors, work accidents, and error. I've studied, a factory situation where everybody is having accidents, the machine caught somebody in the hand and another thing. So, there's job stress. You need to then work errors, job turnover intentions, and finally decline in productivity. Let's move on. I think we know all these things. Let's move on to the next slide. Yes. So we're getting to how do we solve all these problems? Preventing. In the prevention at organizational level, we talk about reducing the client-staff ratio, to a manageable level to prevent emotional and sensory overload. That is the overload control. And then avoiding any unnecessary extended work hours. I remember when I was, at the time during my career, people say, okay, why you, by 4 o'clock, you are going home. People before you, they say, I say, what am I doing? We finish the work, we continue tomorrow. So those are some of the things we need to do your work when it needs to be done. And when you are not, when you apply the rule to do the work, it's not about ambivalence. What should I do now? The person must, you do your work according to rules. There's nothing after 4. By 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock, your closing time, you've done the necessary job. No procrastination, and then you're moving on. So allowing opportunities for time out, that's at organizational level, and then sharing the client loads, staff rotation between units. That's why in mental health, we move people from one unit to the other. Yes, there are specialists in one group, we are expecting nurses. Let everybody experience what everybody's experiencing together. Nobody should just be loaded with continuously all the days of your life until you retire. No, it shouldn't be. So move to the next slide, please. Second part, preventing burnout. Yes, changing the function of staff meetings, that's very important. Yes, staff meetings, I was speaking to somebody recently working far away Canada. They say, oh, wow, it's in my present job. I think it's at the university level, health economics. They say, wow, our meetings are very, very informal. I say, good. Somebody is putting, stress management, strategies there. It's so informal. You won't even know you're at the meeting, And by the time when you finish, you've covered so many grounds, but everybody feels so, relieved, and there's no stress, no tension. So we should use staff meetings. Yes, we clarify goals, we share problems. Informal socialization is there, not formal. Informal socialization. Oh, how's your family? Oh, when is your birthday? And then everybody's just, and it's very interesting, really, when you turn serious business into, at the end of the day, you've done serious business. It's not a frivolous meeting, but meanwhile, everybody feels happy, satisfied on the way out. Then it also improves work to improve work relationship and teamwork. CPD programs, yes, continue professional development. The work you don't know, you don't have the skills for it, will be stressful. I give example of a tailor, a fashion designer and somebody brings each customer that comes with a clothing material, especially the very expensive one, is a sort of stress. You say, hey, I hope I won't spoil this man's clothes too, because he's not confident of his job. But when he's confident, when he sees, wow, or that when you come back, you will see the better work we are going to do for you. So confident because he knows, But when you don't have the skill for your job, is the source of stress. So the prevention is really developing our skill. Then institutionalized welfare, health and safety practices, institution sponsor social activities, all those, we do know about them. So let's move on to the next slide, please. The next slide. Yes, the general stress coping strategies. Now we'll be looking at just, I think, 3 more slides and we should round up. Yes, how do we cope with stress generally? We said stress is nothing but, or just, it's because you are living. That's why you must have challenges of living day to day. And it's actually to prepare you to face the day. And otherwise, you won't do anything. The first rule is know yourself. And as I mentioned earlier, that's the first yardstick of mental health. You must know yourself, know your capability, know your potential. There's no point saying, I don't know whether I can. No, come on, if you can do something, you should know you can do it. I'm very knowledgeable. I mean, it's not pride, you are knowledgeable. Yes, I'm good at this, Yes, wait for other people to compliment that. Oh, God, you are good at that. Young man, you are good at this. Yes, good, but, and you say, yes, I know that. It shouldn't be, oh, yeah, you think I'm good at it? No, don't be over humble, So really know what you know what you are. It's not pride. You must know it. That's the first level of mental health. And then you must know your environment.
Hi, everyone. I think Dr. Timothy is having some technical issues. Let's give him 2 minutes to try and rejoin the call. But thank you so much for your pushes. And please put your insights, suggestions, your questions in the chat so that we can have an amazing conversation after his presentation. I want to see the chat buzzing with questions, insights, suggestions, clarifications as we wait for Dr. Timothy to rejoin. Astrid, are you able to share your screen while we wait? Let's give him a few more minutes. Oh, he's back. He's back. Thank you. Can we make him co-host and then have the screens back up, the slides back up? In the meantime, can you put in the chat how you have coped with burnout, right? You can put that in the chat and we'll make it a discussion or conversation. Dr. Timothy is back.
Yes. So are you hearing me now?
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
Sorry. That was the Tisala, or what's it called? The Ekun, and I switched to MTN. So that's the environment we are. I mean, I was just laughing. I won't be stressed over that. Okay. Okay, sorry. So good. I think, are you hearing me now? Oh,
Yes, sir, we can hear you. Yes, sir, we can hear you. Please carry on.
okay. So the knowledge, I think I spoke about the recognition. You must be able to recognize you're under stress. I mean, the signals we said, about your feeling sad, feeling terror, rage, irritability, and all those ones, and then even excitement. And also, you must be able to pick, that, and then you also be able to help others in recognizing. And then when that happens, you have to be able to do a stress audit. What is probleming? What's happening? Troubleshooting. What's going on? I mean, I used to sleep well. So what before you even see your doctor about not sleeping well, you need to be able to see what's going on. What's the change? Okay, I changed my mattress, oh yes, I changed the room, okay, maybe that's why I changed, you must be able to identify, oh, my boss scolded me in the office today. Oh, that's probably what is worrying, causing the sleeplessness. So do some troubleshooting. And then the golden rule is act, don't react. Are we together, please?
Yes, sir. We can hear
Hello?
you. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
I'm not trusting myself again and the network. So so then the next thing is, I mean, act is a very good golden rule. Most of the time we react to challenges around us, the so-called stress, and then we multiply them. I won't forget about the incident in Lagos long time ago now. There was a bomb blast somewhere in the Ikeja, and people started running without knowing where they are going, and many people died out of the reaction than even nobody even died out of the bomb blast that occurred. People died out of the reaction, unguided reaction. So we must choose our action, not just reacting to situations. And that's what most of us that we compound our so-called stress, the so-called challenges in our life, and then that really should help us. Then seeking support. Sometimes we feel so proud we can't even ask for help. Hey, wait a minute, come on. No man is an island. Yeah, I mean, if I need to beg for 500 naira from somebody because at that point I didn't have it, maybe I will quickly say, gentleman, please, do you mind to spare me 500? They say, oh, you're so well dressed, you don't have 500. I say, sorry, I thought I was holding my purse, and that's it, we move on. So accepting it also. So let's move on to the next slide, please. We are wrapping up soon now before I start stressing you up. The next slide. Yes, the next thing I say about skills. Without the appropriate skill, every situation of life will be stressful to us, will be challenging. Number one, we're talking about work. You must have the professional skills. I've given an example of the fashion designer. Without skill, each customer will be sort of stressed because it's afraid, oh, I don't want to spoil this man's clothes, or because this one will do Allah, because, and then the same way, the nurse, the doctor who does not know his job. Oh, I flip back. When we were, doing our job, housemanship, that's immediately after we leave medical school. And then we are in the emergency, and you are the house officer there. When you hear the sound of the ambulance coming, you are so much scared and your heart will be pumping. Then immediately, even then, there was no telephone, no mobile to quickly call the medical officer and the senior to say, please stay around, there's emergency, So those are, so because it's the perception of the skill. But at the end of the day, when the patients arrive, you actually have the skill, but then we didn't have the confidence that we have the resources. That is really what I'm talking about. So professional skills is very important, and you must be sure of what skill you have and be confident of it. Then most of the stress and burnout issue will be, we are talking about thriving on that. Then problem solving skills. Yes, most of us, we don't know how to solve problems. We make, what do you call it? Mountain out of molehills, and then when you eventually share with somebody, is that what you call problem? Is that no problem? I'm even going through what, I say, do this, and then people, oh, sorry. And the issue is stress. Sometimes when we allow the perception of stress, that's the freezing. Stress is to make us to be able to galvanize the resources to solve the problem. That's the flight or fight. Going on the way and you see a lion confronts you. The fact that you feel overwhelmed that, wow, what will I do? Is it to run? Is it to fight? You can actually faint there, and that is it. That's problem solving skill lost. So time management, very important. You should be able to do time audit. What do I spend my time doing? Everybody knows there is no time of that. You are very busy. You have time. You have time. 24 hours of the day. What do you spend all the hours do? Use, okay, at work I spend how many hours? 8 hours, good. Remove it. It still remains how many? 16 hours. Then from the, I prepare meals, whatever, okay, how many hours to prepare meals? Let's say 3 hours. Okay, if you spend all that, remove it, still remains 5 hours. Or how many?
Dr. Timothy, are you there? Can everyone hear me? Dr. Timothy is back. Can we unmute? Yes, thank you. Can we unmute him, please, and spotlight him? I think we're on in second to the last slide, so we're wrapping this up real quick. Thanks everyone for your patience. Can we unmute Dr. Timothy? He's back up.
Hey, why are you muting me all the time? So
Well, sorry, sir.
it's not my fault. So don't blame me. I switched from Airtel to MTN, and so that's it. So as we wrap up now, really, other points are, yes, let me mention about the thinking right. The thinking right is about most of the times we create, it's not really the event all the time that matters, but the view that we hold of them. This is a cognitive behavioral principle that we need. Most of the emotions we go through as a result of our thoughts. When things happen, maybe for instance at work, a patient, a client behaves to you in a way you didn't like, or your colleague or your boss or anything, your interpretation of the event is more important than the event. You say, wow, I'm in trouble. Everybody's making jest of me. They've all messed me up today. I mean, and you tell somebody, no, that's not that. It's not that, we don't see that way. So many times the way we perceive situation is the real cause of the problem. So it's about thinking right. I didn't say positive thinking. People talk about positive thinking. It's not about positive thinking. It's not about negative thinking. It's about thinking right. So learn to catch your thoughts at the beginning, because that is really what engages you in the wrong path. It's like engaging a gear. Then it gives rise to emotion, which energizes you, and then the behavior which actually carries out elicits, the manifest behavior. So in solving most challenges of life and causes of stress, learn to catch those thoughts. Your interpretation of events, begin to look at them carefully. So that's really about that. So quickly, let's look at the last point, the last slide as we wrap up, so that we'll have time for some questions. Yes, the lifestyle modification, physical exercise. Why does physical exercise help in stress management? It's really about mopping up the dangerous chemicals. When the body is triggered to say, oh, you are under stress, there's a problem, the body immediately go into a mode of secreting glucose, adrenaline for a fight or a flight. So, and when the problems we have, the stress that we have are psychosocial, they don't require you to run or to scale a fence. So all these have the backlog on the body. The increased glucose, begin to cause some metabolic changes in your body and all those ones. So that's really why the physical exercise is like you are simulating what the body is preparing you for, a fight or a flight. You are not fighting anybody, because it's not even decent to fight, but you now do a proxy fighting, which is the exercise. And so the physical exercise for stress management.
Okay, I think that he's experiencing some network issues. So while he tries to join us, I would suggest, dropping any suggestions, questions that you may have, or even personal experiences with burnout. How did you handle it? And all. In the chat, you can also raise your hand and we can unmute.
Thank you, Aisha. While people are dropping their questions, suggestions in the chat, let me step in and continue presentation. So for lifestyle modification, so as Doctor has mentioned earlier, physical exercise, relaxation techniques, that's progressive muscle relaxation, also controlled breathing, right? We also need to practice mindfulness exercises as well, intentional, non-critical present awareness. Move on to the next slide, please. Dealing with overloads, brain overloads, right? Having a diary, to-do lists, and notes to keep you organized.
Okay. Thank you for taking over.
All right, no problem.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, this is fun. So yeah, is that marvelous? Thank you for continuing. Really, as we wrap up, I love this, the overload. Stress is actually an overload on itself. And then what are the three levels of overload? Brain overload. Many times we overload our brain with unnecessary things. You need to go to the market, you're capital your brain. The work you need to do at work is there. By 2 o'clock, I have a meeting, everything is cracked in your brain. And then at the end, you forget many things and you are stressed up because you are overloaded. It's like the computer will tell you, your phone will say, delete some things, materials, and that's what we do to our brain. So learn to use diaries and to do lists and notes, really. And it will relieve the brain, it will be able to do its normal functions of problem solving. Then how about the role overload? We take so many things to ourselves. Delegation will solve those problems of role overload. There are some things you can delegate to trusted people to do it, and then they have, you still have the accountability and whatever. Emotional overload. Many of us will carry, the hurts of many days. Oh, that's how you offended me last year, and you're carrying that to them with the office offenses and everything. The solution to that is ventilation and forgiveness, emotional overload. So these are the ways you can handle the overload and then relieve your brain and your mind of so many things that really could clog your productivity. Work leisure balancing. I like to capture this as turning your labor to leisure. Yes, that's really one of my favorites. It could take a whole day, really, turning labor to leisure, and then really it's about what we do, planning leisure. How do you balance your work and leisure and make them harmonious? It's not just balancing. Yes, when you work, you rest. It's different from that. Even your work itself can become leisure. That's the work leisure harmony. You're in the traffic in Lagos. You are going to spend 2 hours, in the traffic. Come on, look for activities within the car, maybe playing some things that, and then turn that jam into, like what? A picnic. And then the whole thing, that really, I can't predict, I can't prescribe what you need to do to you, and the principle of turning our labor to leisure, number one, I have 3 points there. Number one, you have to love your job, love that labor. I've seen people play basketball and by the time he strikes the ball into the basket, say, wow, I love this game. I say, how can somebody love his job, even when it's strenuous, it's challenges to come on? I love this work. What else will I do without this work? And sometimes I speak to myself that some things I do say, what else will I be doing if I don't do what I'm doing? And people say, oh, you have been busy. I say, come on, don't say that. I love what I'm doing. I'm enjoying it. So find a way of loving your job. However, then the second one is what? Learn about your job. Learn about it. The job you don't know how to do is going to be a hectic time. It's going to be stressful. So learn about it. If you need to study more and learn more, be mentored more to know your job, come and do it. That's the second. The first one I said is what? Loving. The second is learning. And the third is landscaping your work. What's the landscaping? It's about making your work environment beautiful. Create friendship at work. Your colleagues at work are also your friends, and you can replicate whatever environment you love. And that's why people You see in the office, they put a picture of their children, favorite children, their family pictures there, so that when they look around the favorite a flower, they put it there just to make it as homely as possible. So all these are tips to, turning our labor into leisure. And finally, I talk about buying escape. If you have the money for holidays, come on, why not? I once worked with some white guys, and the only thing when we compare our salary and how we spend it, the you have their own money for holiday, and then it's there as part of how to the budgeting. Whereas African man we take concern, is money for food rather than saving. But really you need to start planning how to buy escapes, and that's really part of life. Thank you very much. So the last slide is just a bye-bye. Let's look at the last slide. Last slide. Oh, I say blessed are those whose the work, I change it to labor, whose labor and leisure are what? Are the same. So blessed are thou if your labor can be turned into leisure. Thank you very much for listening. Bye. Sorry for the MTN and the hotel. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. This was amazing. Thank you so much, sir. Before you go, sir, we have a case study that would like to go through together, and then you give us your expert insights on the case presentation.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you once again, Dr. Timothy. So we'll go over a case study. So this person, Dr. T.O., is a 46-year-old consultant nephrologist, works full-time at Ekiti State University Teaching Hospital in Ado-Ekiti while managing his personal private practice at Olaolu Medical Center. He has 15 years of experience in nephrology, dedicated in improving lives of patients with chronic kidney disease. He has a passion for patient care and commitment to mentoring young doctors as well. Usually, he has dual roles and intense workloads that have placed him under significant pressure. Next slide. So his professional responsibilities at his University Teaching Hospital, he handles about 20 to 25 outpatients weekly, attending to inpatients as well as performs consultations for patients needing dialysis. He supervises medical residents, participates in departmental meetings, and contributes to research projects. In his private practice at the medical center, he sees an additional 15 to 20 patients weekly, many with complex cases requiring individualized care. On average, he works 70 to 80 hours per week. This is like double the average work hours. Next slide. So signs of burnout. In recent months, Dr. T.O. has shown signs of burnout, including emotional exhaustion. He feels drained at the start of his shifts, even after a full night's sleep. Reduced performance. He's been having difficulty concentrating during consultations and forgets critical details. Detachment. So just as earlier said, he's growing impatient with colleagues and patients, a shift from his usual compassionate demeanor, and physical symptoms. So he's experiencing frequent headaches, insomnia, and increased reliance on coffee to stay awake. So impact on patient care. Now, a recent incident where he nearly prescribed the wrong medication that prompted concern from his colleagues. Patients also noted that they are now experiencing longer wait times with him and shorter and less engaging consultations. His private practice started to lose patients due to the inconsistency in service quality. So what's his management plan? Thriving under pressure. To help Dr. T.O. manage his workload and prevent burnout, the following strategies were implemented. Self-care and personal boundaries, that's reduced work hours, right? Negotiating his weekly hours with ASUT as well, while delegating responsibilities to senior residents. Scheduled breaks, instituted short regular breaks during shifts to decompress his work. Exercise and sleep routine. So he committed to a fitness regimen 3 times a week and a sleep routine ensuring at least 7 hours of rest. Next slide, please. Also, for his professional support and collaboration, he delegated, that's assigning non-critical tasks to junior doctors and nurses to ease off his workload. peer support group, right? He joined peer support group with other consultants to share experiences and coping strategies. Private practice scheduling. So he limited private practice consultations and I held 2 evenings per week on Saturdays to ensure adequate rest. For mental health and stress management, he had counseling services, engaged with the counselor specializing in physician burnout, mindfulness techniques. He practiced mindfulness and relaxation exercises to manage stress and improve focus. Time off. Took 2-week leave to recharge and clear communication to patients about his absence. For institutional support, hospital policy adjustment. So at the teaching hospital where he worked, they implemented a policy encouraging all consultants to take mandatory quarterly mental health check-ins. Mentorship balance. They limited the number of mentees assigned to Dr. T.O. to ensure quality mentoring without overburdening him. So what were the outcomes? He had improved well-being. Thus, T.O. reported a marked improvement in his mental and physical health. Enhanced patient care, patient satisfaction scores increased, consultations became more attentive and thorough. Sustainable practice. He successfully balanced his duties at the teaching hospital where he worked and also in the private practice without compromising the quality of care. And a positive example, Dr. T.O.'s journey inspired other healthcare providers at the teaching hospital to seek help for burnout and adopt healthier work habits. Next slide, please. So what are the key takeaways from here? Recognize burnout early. You acknowledge the symptoms of burnout and take proactive steps. You have to set boundaries, right? So just like he did, balance work demands with personal well-being, seek support, leverage institutional resources, peer support, counseling services. Self-care is super essential. Prioritize your mental and physical health to sustain a long and fulfilling career. And then normalize conversations about burnout. Encourage open dialogue to foster supportive work environments. So what were the case presentation insights from this? So Dr. T.O. was able to identify his, first of all, we need to first know that we're actually experiencing burnout, right, and stress from work. So he was able to identify his symptoms, right? He realized that it was severely affecting his work and his life, right? And then he took active steps in terms of mental health at work, right? Prioritizing his physical and also mental health. You know, he prioritized reducing workload. That's the focus of the stress, right? He reduced his workload and it improved to better outcomes. So Dr. Timothy, we would like maybe if you have some specific insights into this case study as well.
Well, when I saw the TO, I thought, I hope it's not me. I'm too. So, except you assure me it's not me first before I'll go for that. Are you? Hello?
Yes, Dr.
Are we
Timothy, it's
together?
not you.
It's
Yes,
not you,
this is
No,
me.
it's
sir.
not you.
Okay. Okay.
This is Dr. in Ekiti
So the first
State.
question, okay, thank you very much. Yes, I mean, this is perfect, a good example, and then the management plan really, really wonderful. As I commented earlier, it's really wonderful. I mean, these are all the things you need to do. The workload, obviously, is really hectic, and he brought it upon himself anyway. So we need to look at that. And then actually the first thing I would tell him to do is to go and leave, please go and leave and then, get people to do your work, hire people to do this private job and then go and leave officially from the government work. And then, those are the first things. That's buying. It may involve buying holidays, which we've mentioned all the steps and you've really rightly highlighted the points there. I think there's no better management plan than what has been highlighted. So, bravo. I think Dr. Tio should be grateful for falling into good hands. Okay, so brilliant. And then just to find out, I mean, when we talk about that, we also want to tease out whether there has not been some other established mental health condition like going into depression. So we need to assess fully to be sure that if it's just burnout, it will be related only, it will happen at work. All these things come in the setting of work, the detachment, the feeling of no accomplishment, the disillusionment, and then the first one, the depletion, emotional depletion. It occurs in the setting of work. When it's at home, it's another person really functioning and what's happening. It's only when I get to work that I feel this way. That's really one of the characteristics of burnout. When it spills into other spaces like home and all that, it might now have had some other mental health complications. So that's really some of the things to differentiate. So burnout from additional stress of other things, overwork and whatever. So I think this is on the good side. So it's a good example and the management plan. Thank you very much. I don't have any other thing to say more than that.
Thank you so much, Dr. Timothy, for that insight. So the next section will be having Q&A session. So I can know that a lot of people have questions that they want to ask, and they want to ask Dr. Timothy. So I see that Obi Chidima has a hand up. So do you have a question you'd like to ask? Okay, so
okay, I've been trying to unmute myself. So thank you so much, and good afternoon, everyone, and good afternoon, sir. Thank you so much for the presentation. And honestly, I joined a bit late because I'm currently at work and I had a lot of patients to see, so I couldn't join at the same time as I was having the event. Okay, but thank you so much, because when I saw this yesterday, I was really burdened with the fact that healthcare professionals have been experiencing a high level of burnout. I work in a federal government facility, and I can tell you today, I couldn't step out to eat because I was the only one that was on ground to see the patients. And you can imagine what it means to see at least 100 patients just within an hour, and you have not had your lunch, you have not had any break. And I was happy someone already raised that, because that was my question. The first person that already sent a comment online asking, because the issue is not about the stress, not knowing how to manage your stress and burnout. The issue is that the system is not functional enough to allow healthcare professionals to be nurtured, to thrive, and to serve. Honestly speaking, from my end, I'm someone that I'm a pharmacist, and I've always loved my profession and I was eager to practice. But just 2 years down the line, I'm experiencing a severe burnout that I'm thinking of a way out, right? And I have few colleagues that also joined me, but they've all left, right? Because they feel like you just have to leave the healthcare system for you to survive it. But I don't believe that notion, because I believe we all don't have to run out from a dysfunctional system. We have to start thinking of how can we actually change the system, or make the system allow healthcare professionals thrive as they serve. Because the idea of just trying to do a to-do list, or trying to some mental things that I've listed, it sounds good at all, but personally, I've been on that journey, because at some point I realized I was having this burnout. So I started to think of what personal things can I do to get myself out of this. And I've been practicing those, but it's still not working, because no matter how you do that, you still come into the system, and the system still it saps you everything you have. You experience compassion fatigue. Just like our discussion, our presenter talked about, you have to love your job. I love my job, but currently I'm experiencing compassion fatigue, because this is the job I love. But I realize that I now shout a lot at my patients. I feel a lot of crankiness. I'm not even able to have that distance. And you can't even have your breaks during your work. So I feel like the system is not functional enough to allow healthcare professionals nurtured and to thrive, and then for them to serve. So what I'm really asking is, what is the way out? Is there any way we can start thinking of how we can actually change the system? I know it starts one-on-one, all right, but I feel like it also requires people to actually still come together and start thinking of how can we raise our voices, and beyond raising our voices, still thinking also how can we actually help the leadership system see that this current system we are running for healthcare professionals is not helping us to thrive, because people are all thinking of how to live, and living is not an option, because if everybody leaves, that means we'll have quacks treating our parents, even if we decide to leave the country for them. So that's my question. I think I'm bringing a question. I'm also a suggestion at the same time. Thank you so much, sir, for your presentation.
Yes, thank you very much. Cynthia, right? That is it. Am I right? Oh, I didn't. Hello, am I on?
Yes, you are.
Yes, that's a very wonderful question. It's not really a question, just bringing it to fore what the situation we are all confronting. And, I did mention about the management of burnout, about organizational steps, the things within the organization. I mean, it's about having enough manpower to do the job. I mean, that's that organization. That's not the individual. We mentioned what organization needs to do and then what individuals need to do. So to prevent burnout, to prevent stress at work, the things the leadership has to do. And then we will now wonder, who are the leaders? Well, we can't talk to them and all that. I've always said it. I say leaders are us. And people say, well, no, there's some people that are leaders and whatever. And I say, well, it begins with organizations. I'm happy with you work in a federal setting and whatever. At whatever level we are working, we have people. I mean, I say leaders are not ghosts. They are not from Mars. They are not from Jupiter. They are from among us. And before you know it, even you yourself, you are aspiring to become a leader, isn't it? Yeah. And the question is, the collective us, if we are aware of this fact, yeah, we have associations, we have unions and all that. What do we engage the leadership about? Is it just I want more pay and no. If these are not the immediate things we engage leadership on about getting the right stuff, I mean, yes, I've been in the position of leadership at the point, the CEO of a federal institution. And I would just say I tried my best. The fault is from head to toe, really. And then we need to, until we all as a group begin to identify the problem, and we are all consistently, not with hypocrisy, consistently addressing it. My diagnosis of the whole system issue is selfishness, indiscipline, and greed. Indiscipline, personal indiscipline, group indiscipline, selfish. Once each person is settled, they forget about let other people go and be fighting for their own. No, until we come collectively together to address the selfishness, the indiscipline, and then the greed that is causing our the leadership failure. So I think until we get to that point, then we all need to continue to look at how we can use our own personal resources. Other might say, well, everyone is going to fall. It's not on somebody. It's not me alone. I've had opportunities of practicing outside the country, and I chose by myself to come back here. I'm here. I'm in Nigeria. Whatever it is, whatever any problem any other person can face, I will face it. And those are personal things. So develop yourself. Your ability to cope with any challenge. That any challenge becomes, oh, there's no fuel, this and that. Some people see it as opportunity to do something else without burning out. So when we're talking about thriving, it's despite the challenges, making progress despite challenges. Yes, the challenges are there. They cannot be changed, but yes, I'm there together. We will rot it out. So it's about developing yourself and wait for the system to change when we are consistently engaged also in the system. So that's all I would say about that. So just get your own self at a point that you don't get burned out because of anybody's foolish action or inaction, but you just get yourself sorted out and face it. And then as for the work, I mean, if you cannot see 100 patients at the clinic, wherever you stop, you say, sorry, I can't go beyond this. Patients come tomorrow, it's not your fault. Even if doctor, we know you have tried self. You saw, you even at the beginning of your clinic, you say, sorry, I cannot see more than 30. records, please don't send out more than 30 for me. You know how many you can see, so the records know it. Let them tell your chief, your medical director that you say you cannot see more than this. If that is realistic, I will defend it. Okay, thank you. Thank
All
you,
right,
please.
thank you so
Any
much for
other
that,
question?
Dr. Timothy. Yes, we have another question in the chat. So by Felix Obi, he said, what is the connection between stress and anxiety disorder? And how can one handle anxiety-related work and performance?
Okay. Yes, as we mentioned earlier, stress is a specific reaction to challenges around us. It can lead to any, not even just anxiety. It can lead to any mental health problem. We do have what we call stress-related mental health disorders. Just stress. We talk about um, acute stress, chronic stress, and all those ones. Whatever reactions to stress, but it can precipitate even depression, schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, if the individual is predisposed to them. So at the point at which, that's why I was mentioning about the hypothetical case of the doctor at Exu that he was arrested, we have to assess that he has not developed, specific mental health problems that need to be managed by, a specialist. So yes, it's just stress reaction and all that. Once the stress issues are removed, all those symptoms will go down. But if it has precipitated another illness, a disorder, that will need to be managed on its own, apart from relieving the sources of stress. Even when you relieve the source of stress and everything, the person is still depressed. And it's not really that, you say, oh, but there's no, why are you still depressed? I mean, they've released your job, you are now on leave and whatever. No, it's because it has precipitated an illness, which has to be managed specifically. So we need to assess, is it just stress response? Just as you mentioned, the things in the under burnout specific to health workers. If it has precipitated a disorder like depression, anxiety disorder, phobias, and any other thing, including major conditions like schizophrenia, whatever, those need to be managed separately. And the individual might need to be referred for specialist care. But if it's just response, I'm not sleeping well, and I can attribute it to the problem at work, oh good. But even when you're on leave and you can still not sleep, and you've taken your leave and all that, your boss has reduced your workload, he has attended to some of the complaints you had, and you can still not. So that's telling us it has precipitated a specific mental health problem that you need to be fully assessed and managed on. That's my take on that.
Thank you so
Any
much,
other?
Dr. Timothy. Yes, we have two more. So the first one, this one is actually, the person gave some context. So in most Nigerian healthcare systems, especially the tertiary setups, the patient-doctor ratio is almost always imbalanced, with more work stress in form of overtime and high number of shifts, and there is no form of workplace stress relief whatsoever, or even compensation. In fact, there are stricter rules on even when to take your leave, etc. Little wonder we're faced with Japa syndrome. So the question actually is, are there any suggestions that can be made for hospital managers, starting from the HODs to the top management staff, on how compulsory stress coping mechanisms can be incorporated into routine hospital activities? Have efforts been made at the government level to pass a bill and ensure implementation?
Okay. There's a mental health bill which is just on, which has just been passed, really, and even the implementation of it, we're still on it at the level of Association of Psychiatrists in Nigeria or the mental health professionals, so which is ongoing. But apart from even bill, there are practices at the level of organization which any reasonable manager head must know, pay attention to, where there's short staff rate. And then the boss, the chief executive, they know that there's shortage of staff. And obviously, I'm sure let people begin to address issues that are related to that. It's not just about we are fighting for more money, and sometimes, I looking at issues, and nobody will deny the fact if chief executives are confronted about issues of job, work conditions, at work, how to provide, excellent quality services for patients, is not, but we should not be seen as just pursuing our personal agenda. We need to be able to present, no chief executive will shun any union group of any professional that comes and goes, please, boss, we need to address some of our, you may start from even the patient's issue that our patients are not getting the best because the condition of service is not conducive, and then you relate this and that. What can we do about it? It's not about confrontation. Each hospital has a board and has the management, groups and whatever. But if the issue is, if the union will only go to the CEO to say, that give us money, we want to do this, we want to do this anniversary, if all those are the things we are concerned about, then nobody should blame anyone. But if the issues are genuinely, service-centered and our own welfare, not sided, selfish pursuit. I'm talking from personal experience, and I'm not telling you. So many times I will wave off of such, bring issues that relate to our collective goal and the mission why we are here together, and let's pursue it together. If there are limitations with the world, this is what we can do with the resources we have. We are dependent, if it's a federal government establishment, we are dependent on what we get from, Ministry of Finance, from the ministry to do this. And this is all the money we have. We lay it on the table and say, well, and this is it. If there's any suggestion of how we can spend it better, please bring openness in leadership. And some of these things, and then the question is to ask ourselves, if we are in that position, will we act differently? We need to be sincere with ourselves. Will we act differently? Everybody is aspiring, I want to become the CEO of my hospital, blah, blah, blah. But if you're there, are you going with the right intention? These are some of the things which sometimes it marvels me, Anyway, these are political issues. But I would say at this level, all you can do is take care of yourself. Look at those personal tips on how to safeguard your own mental health and apply them, and set the limit in the assertiveness we mentioned, set the limit of what you can do. If you are asked to run a clinic and see 100 patients, say, sorry, sir, how can I do that? If I split how many hours of the clinic, maybe 4 hours of clinic, divide the 100 patient by you want me to see a patient in 1 second? That's not acceptable. It's not possible. And you can say that out if you are not the type also who have also taken time off work where you are not on leave and you only go to work once a week, the rot is all over and everybody has a share of his own. If we're all playing our part, nobody can ask you to do more than you should do, except, so we should be honest with ourselves. Am I playing my part as I should play it? And when you do that, nobody, I would say, I started also as a junior officer and you don't ask me to do what's not acceptable professionally and ethically. So that's it. So we need to define ourselves, differentiate ourselves, then before you can correct others, about what they are doing wrong or what they are not doing wrong. So sorry about that. That's the situation we've all found ourselves, but take care of yourself with all these tips. You don't need to accept to do more than you have capacity to do. And everybody will understand it. So, thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Timothy, for a very insightful and engaging session. So the next will be our post quiz. So remember that we are not testing people individually. We just want to see how effective this has been. So we will be testing it shortly. So please feel free to answer all questions and submit at the end of your assessment. Okay, keep your answers coming in. We're already seeing some people answering. Keep answering. And then let us know if you have any challenges seeing the questions on your end.
Let's keep our responses coming in. It's only 7 questions. We only do this to assess a gauge knowledge gained from the session. If you have any technical issues, please put that in the chat. Can we get support for Zainab, please? Can we get support for Zainab? Let's keep the responses coming in. We're 2 minutes plus gone. You're not going to be assessed individually for your responses. So just, respond to the post quiz. It's only 7 questions based on the didactic session. For everyone who has responded, we say thank you. We appreciate. If you haven't responded, please, there's 7 questions. And in the next couple of minutes, our speaker, Dr. Timothy, will be supporting with the responses, the correct responses to these questions. Thank you, thank you. Let's keep the responses coming in. Can someone please support Obi Chidinma? Can someone please support her? She's having troubles. If you click on if you look at your Zoom dashboard, you see on the bottom of the screen, there's a circle icon that says more with 3 dots in between. Click on it and click on the poll quiz. Please let us know if that has been sorted. Thank you. Let's keep the responses coming in. Thank you. Thank you for all who have responded. We're not 50% gone yet. We have a good number of team members, participants on the call. Please do good. Everyone just needs to respond to this. You'll not be individually assessed for these questions. It is only 7 questions. Can someone please help Zainab? Zainab, I can't see. You can only see 1 question. It might be your network. Do you want to leave and then rejoin? There are 7 questions. So it might be your network that you're only seeing 1. Please let us know if it has been sorted out. Thank you. In the meantime, Kainde, can you post the survey link, the link to the post quiz in the chat? Okay, yes. Okay, so Zainab, try and rejoin and see. Let's see if that helps. Zainab, please let us know when it has been sorted. Let's keep the responses coming in. We'll give 1 more minute for this, 1 more minute for this, but we really need to wrap up the session. Thank you all who have stayed and participated in this. Let's keep the responses coming. Dr. Chi, you can go.
Okay.
We can
Thank
go.
you
Yeah.
all. I'm still waiting for more of your responses. We see that a lot of you are already responding, so keep responding. So we still want to see more people. If you can't see any, or if you haven't started the quiz, can you indicate in the chat so that we can help you out? Thank you. Keep responding. And then when you're done, you can also check when you've ended your questions and submitted. You can also check the chat for a form, a survey form that you would need you to fill as well. Okay, so we're giving 1 more minute for everyone to respond and finish answering all their questions. So let's keep it going. All right, 40 seconds more. Thirty seconds more to the end of this poll. So if you're just started answering, keep it going. Okay, so 10 seconds more before the end of the poll for people finalizing their answers. Finish up and ensure that you've submitted. All right, please wrap up. If you're answering, finalizing your answers, wrap up and ensure that you've submitted. Zainab, you can't still access the quiz. Have you clicked on polls and quizzes? Can you try and click on the polls and quizzes section? If you check at the lower end, just before the place where you have a leave sign, you see more, and then you see polls and quizzes. So look at the lower end of your screen.
Hi, Dr. Oche. So I think that the poll quiz has ended. However, Zainab, there's a Google form in the chat. You can use that to respond to it. I'm going to post it again. Please use that to respond to the quiz questions. It is only 7 questions. Well, way over time. Dr. Oche, can we go into the responses of the quiz questions? Thank you.
Okay, so for the questions that we've just answered, the first one says, how is stress best defined? A minor inconvenience that can be ignored. B, a disturbance caused by perceived imbalance between demands and resources. C, a physical response related to emotions or perception. D, a condition that only affects mental health. And E, an inevitable part of the daily life that cannot be managed. So, Dr. Timothy, would you like to give us the answer to this? Okay, so the answer would be a disturbance caused by perceived imbalance between demands and resources. So question 2 asks, which is the most common source of workplace stress for healthcare workers? 1 is poor job satisfaction. Option 2 is work-life conflicts. Option 3 is understaffing and workload.